In this video, we'll look at some problems involving age. So here's one example. Okay. We're looking at two brothers who are 8 years apart, and we're given their age. One is 26, the other younger one is 18. And the question now is asking how many years ago was the elder brother's age actually 3 times that of a younger brother. Okay, so at this moment, the number 26 is not even double 18. But many years ago, for example, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, the older brother will be 16 years old, younger brother will be 8 years old, right? So 10 years ago, the ages are different. 26 minus 10 is 16, and 18 minus 10 is 8. And now the 16 is double 8. So, of course, this is not an answer because we are looking for when the age is 3 times, the older brother's age is 3 times of the younger brother. So it is not 10 years ago, but this problem is probably solvable. You just need to increase the 10 a little bit. I think you'll get the number. Okay. So typically, how do you solve a problem like this? Well, these type of age problems many times are just examples of sum and difference, or like difference and multiple problems. And we discussed these type of problems in other videos. And in this case, if you look at the statement, well, here there's a word stand out 3 times. And 3 times is a multiple problem. So this actually can be translated into a difference and multiple problem. All right. So what do we need? We are given the multiple in this case, and the multiple is 3 times. And the difference, well, remember, the older brother is 3 times as old as the younger one many years ago. So the difference we need is many years ago, what's the difference between the age of the older brother and the younger brother? And of course, in this case, even though they each grow older as years come by, the age difference does not change. Currently, they are 8 years apart. But many years ago, they are still 8 years apart. So the difference is still 8 years. And so now we know that many years ago, the age has a difference of 8 years, and 1 is a multiple, 3 times multiple. So that becomes a difference and multiple problem. And we can use the same trick we discussed for these type of problems. Namely, we are going to draw a little graph. So let's use O for the older brother, Y for the younger brother, and this for their age many years ago. Okay, many years ago, younger brother is 13 years old, represented by a bar, and older brother is 3 times as old. 3 times. Wow. So the difference will be 2 bars. And these 2 bars represent the difference, which is 8 years old. So what is each bar? Each bar will just be 8 divided by 2. And this will be 4 years old. So many years ago, actually, the younger brother is 4 years old. And now, how many years ago was the younger brother 4 years old? That will solve the problem. Okay, so recall currently the younger brother is 18 years old. So how many years ago? You have 18. Well, to be 4 years old, you need to be 18 minus 4 equals 14 years ago. The younger brother will be 4 years old. And the older brother, well, 14 years ago is 26 minus 14. That will be 12 years old and will be triple the age of the younger brother. So the answer is 14. Okay, so for this example, in the end, we reduce it to the difference and multiple problem and we can solve it. All right, we're going to do some more examples. So now we look at another example. Here, 3 years ago, we have two persons, A and B. A was 20 years older than B. Now currently, the ages of A and B adds up to be 44. The question is, how old is A? So in this problem, the solution will be using the sum and difference method. So in this case, it's clear we are given the sum because currently A and B adds up to be 44 years old. So the sum is 44. And the idea is that the difference is simply 20. Well, here, even though we say 3 years ago A was 20 years older, but currently, 3 years later, A is still 20 years older than B because they both grow by 3 years. The difference doesn't change. So this is very similar to the previous problem where the difference remained the same. So now we know sum and difference and we use the standard method for sum and difference. Let's draw currently what about A and B. We draw the age for B as a bar, and then A will be a bar plus something referred to 20 years because A is 20 years older. And the total will be 44. So the total will be 44. Adds up everything will be total 44. So if you have this plus this, 2 bars and 20 will be 44. And therefore, you get rid of 20, the 2 bars will be 24. And that means B is the bar will just be referred to 24 divided by 2 will be 12. And this will be 12. So this one is solved easily. 12 plus 20. The age of A will be 12 plus 20 is 32 years old. Okay, let's try another problem. Now in this question, you have two persons, A and B. And we're given A's age is 3 less than 4 times B's age. And A's age 3 years later equals B's age 9 years later. And let's try to figure out how old is A. So this problem, the statements are a little bit more complicated. But you see the word 4 times, like this word, probably means that you're going to do difference and multiple. So let's try to do difference and multiple. And what's the difference between the age of A and B? And this is not really given immediately in the problem, but we think a little bit, we can figure out the difference between the ages of two persons. So this sentence, A's age 3 years later equals B's age 9 years later. So what does that mean? Who is older, A or B? Well, the answer is A is going to be older because 3 years later, B, well, how do I say? So let's see. So A's age, let's use the graph. A's age, you add 3 years later, equals B's age adds 9 years. The graph will explain the picture. So you see A's age is definitely longer in terms of the graph. And what's the difference? Well, the difference is here. That's the difference between 9 and 3. So 9 minus 3 is 6. That's the difference between the age of A and B. A is 6 years older. Okay, now we understand that A is actually 6 years older. Let's look at the multiple. Well, multiple is 4 times because that's in the problem. 4 times. Well, that's not exactly true because A's age is not 4 times B's age. A's age is 3 less 4 times B's age. So the 4 times means that you need to do A's age plus 3. So A's age 3 years later plus 3. That's 4 times, right? Because actually 3 less than 4 times. And then that's 4 times B's age. So here to draw this picture for difference and multiple, we need to be a little careful. So you use a little thing to denote B. And then this will be 4 times. 4 times. So now what's the difference here? Well, the difference is not the one we stated. It's not 6 years. Because we're not looking for the difference between A and B. We're looking for the difference between A's age plus 3, which is here, A's age plus 3 and B. So A's age plus 3 and B, the difference is actually 9, right? In this picture, after plus 3, the difference is 9. So here, that means this is 9. And now we know what B's age. B is just this little thing, means it's 9 divided by 3 is 3. So this is 9 divided by 3 is 3 years old. So now this 4 of these guys will be 4 times 3. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 will be 12. Does that mean A is 12 years old? It doesn't, because this A's age plus 3 is 12 years old. So A is 9 years old, because 9 is 12 minus 3. Okay, so in the end, A is 9. Alright, so this problem, eventually we solve it with the graphs. But if you are comfortable with algebra, this problem actually can become much easier. So let me show you how do you solve it with algebra. And I only need a very little space. So how do you solve with algebra? You just use x. Okay? So x will be B's age. And then, so A's age will be 3 less than 4 times B's age. So 4 times B's age is 4x, and 3 less will be 4x minus 3. And now the second sentence says A's age 3 years later. So A's age 3 years later will be 3 years later will be add 3. This will be the same as B's age 9 years later, B plus 9. And then you do the algebra of 4x minus 3 plus 3 is 4x. 4x equals x plus 9. And you move the x to the left, you get 3x equals 9. And x equals 3, so you get B's age is 3. And then once found B's age equals 3, you can get A's age is 9. So I think if you're comfortable with algebra, it's certainly much easier if you just use algebra. But otherwise, without using algebra, you can still solve the problem by analyzing these graphs and figure out the difference and multiples, and then use the method for difference and multiple. Okay.